Oh yeah! Alright! We're reading Chuck Tingle tonight. Ooh. Yeah, it's been a while, okay. It's been a few months since my last journey into the Tingleverse, but I can explain. Let me explain. Give me 1 minute. 2 minutes. When I first started reading the good doctor's escapades, it was under a quarantine. Everyone was stuck at home. It was the start of the COVID adventure, 2020. Great year so far. At this point, I'm back to work. I am working multiple jobs because my full-time job still isn't back up to where it needs to be to give everyone full-time employment. Also thanks to COVID. So I started delivering pizzas on the side. So my schedules right now are batshit crazy. It's a lot of fun. I've been basically Monday through Friday, I work from 6 in the morning to noon, and then 4 in the evening to 9:30 in the evening. And then Saturdays is 11 to 9 in the evening, 11 in the morning. So in reality, I'm working more than I was before COVID, but making a lot less money. Except for tips. The pizza tips are pretty good. But that's the reason that it's taken me a while to get any more tingles out because, yeah, it's been busy. But that's about to come to an end. We got school starts here for me in 3 weeks or so. 3.5 weeks, I think, from the time of this recording. So at that point, I will be going just to the pizza delivery because of the tips, and I will have a lot less free time due to work. It'll just be because of school. So, yeah, it's great. Nursing school. It's going to be fan-fucking-tastic. And I cannot wait to get started because it's going to suck. But I'm going to take that suck. I'm going to take all of it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to pull it into myself just as the good doctor would want me to. And let it fuck me in the ass. No, I'm going to fuck it in the ass. I'm going to turn the tables. I'm going to bend it over a Chuck Tingle barrel and give it the goods, so to speak. That being said, that's what we're here to do today. I've got my kiwi strawberry pink lemonade with a matching pink straw. One of these days, I will do Chuck Tingle ASMR. Until then, we are reading Game of Butts, The Pounds of Winter. Before I get started, I just want to take a minute of your time to thank this video's sponsor. Thank you. Now, Game of Butts, The Pounds of Winter. I have read Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings. I have not read any of the other Song of Ice and Fire books. I have seen the show. I'm excited to see the good doctor's take on Game of Thrones. Let us begin. Shout out the Badlands Chugs. I can't believe that after all this time, the fighting and bloodshed could finally be over for good. It sounds like a wild fever dream with no bearing in reality, and maybe it's better that I keep it there for now, but it's hard not to be excited by the prospect. The turmoil in these lands is taken from everyone, families destroyed and kingdoms extinguished, never to rise again. Even my own father has fallen to the endless fighting. By now there are only 2 kingdoms left that matter, the Storks and the Terrigrins, and thankfully, we have found peace between us. It was not easy. And for a moment, I truly thought that the battles and bloodshed would start all over again. But there is nothing that joins 2 forces more profoundly than a common enemy, and a common enemy is what we now have. Excuse me. When I was younger, I always assumed that the ice butts were a thing of legend, frozen rumps from beyond the North Wall who exist somewhere between the land of the living and the dead. It seemed like such a ridiculous thing to believe in, the very concept of such strange, supernatural forces making most men scoff in dismissal until they see them with their own eyes. I've gazed upon the ice butts myself, saw a toned rump floating through the northern woods at night on scouting patrol, and I'm lucky enough to have lived to tell the tale. Fortunately, my armies have been able to do some scouting in return, and we've learned that the ice butts are preparing an attack early tomorrow morning. We will be ready, and with the Stork and Terrygrin forces combined, we just might have a chance of survival. Captain Bon Snope, comes a voice from outside my tent. Danny Terrygrin is here to see you. It's late in the evening now, and I need my rest, but I know better than to deny a last-minute strategic talk with my most important ally. Come in, I call out, rising from my sleeping cot and putting on my warmest fur coat. There's a great chill in the air, as is typical on the night before a battle as deadly as this is sure to be. I walk over to the tent flap and open it up, dismissing the guard as I step out to greet Danny. My companion smiles and nods, her long blonde hair flowing in the chilly night air. A word? She asks. You have my full attention, I assure Danny. The two of us begin to scroll with one another through the camp. Soldiers still preparing all around us as massive bonfires blaze for warmth and light. There are men and women sharpening swords and preparing their crossbows, ready to fight to the death in the name of the kingdom. Sorry, gotta be able to scroll. I've been thinking a lot about tomorrow, Danny tells me. I have nothing but belief in our soldiers, but I'm afraid the Butt King must be confronted head-on if we would like to see another day. He is the power behind these forces, the one who is animating these haunting icy butts. I take a deep breath, considering my companion's words. I'm afraid she might be right, and I've had the idea of confronting the Butt King myself, but it all just seemed too difficult to even consider. It would be great to just sneak up north across enemy lines on my own and slay the Butt King, but there are thousands of ice butts blocking my path. I believe in the strategy, I explain. I think it's a good one. I would love to stop this dark magic at its source, but I don't know how. If there was a way to get me up there, then I would gladly go with my own sword and shield. But as it is now, my presence is needed here. I feel like I'm kind of drifting between British and Scottish. There's nothing I can do about it. There might be a way, Danny offers. I only threw of it this evening. I think it's supposed to say thought. But I think it might work. My eyebrows rise. What is it? We don't know much about the Butt King, other than the fact that he's a magically inclined T-Rex, and handsome as hell, she explains. He would be impossible to find if it weren't for one thing. Dragons are just T-Rexes with wings. Suddenly it hits me. How could we have not seen this sooner? Danny is an incredible natural leader to her people, but this innate sense of management is not the only thing she retains strict control over. She also controls a dragon. In battle, this will obviously give us a powerful advantage over our sentient butt foes as they float across the battlefield with swords raised. But now a more subtle and roguish plan has been made abundantly clear. Because my dragon and this Tyrannosaurus Butt King are so similar, I believe she'll be able to track the Butt King's scent and bring you directly to him, Danny explains. It will have to be fast, however, as the dragon will need to be back before the start of battle. If we're going to make an attempt, it must happen right now. I don't hesitate for a second. I'm ready, I say. I just need to grab my armor and my sword. Danny smiles and then puts 2 fingers into her mouth, whistling loudly. I can't whistle like that. Immediately, a massive dark shape bursts up out of the forest, flapping its wings loudly as the powerful gusts of air move across us. The reptilian creature floats over and then lands softly as Danny lovingly rubs the dragon's head. Time is running short, Danny reminds me. I nod and head back towards my tent, throwing open the flap and gathering my things. It's not long before I'm ready to go, now clad in my full plate armor and brandishing a massive two-handed broadsword. When I approach Danny and the dragon again, the creature lowers its head towards me. She'll find the Butt King, Danny insists, but it's up to you to slay him. I nod in understanding. The Butt King is a powerful foe, and while it would be wonderful to go up against him with a ferocious dragon by my side, we cannot risk this powerful creature not making his return to the battlefield by morning. This mission is on me, and me alone. I swing my leg over the dragon's lowered head and barely have a chance to arrange myself before the massive beast is taking off into the air, erupting away from the ground with a power unlike anything I've ever felt. As I wrap my arms tightly around the dragon's neck, I can see his nostrils flare, picking up some kind of provocative scent from far, far away. Soon enough, we are soaring over the forests and hills below, the distant peaks of the northern mountains looming large in the distance. The night is dark, so despite our enormous size, we remain hidden from the ice butts below, troops gathering for tomorrow morning's ferocious battle. My heart is pounding hard within my chest, now reconsidering whether or not this was a good idea. Once this dragon drops me off and heads back home, there is no escape. I will either defeat the Butt King, or I will never return and the war will rage on without me. Strangely, this thought actually provides me with a minor sense of relief. While I'm not thrilled about the prospect of death, at least this endless fighting will finally be over in one way or another. Eventually, we reach the side of the icy mountains, finding a jagged cliffside where the dragon perches and lowers her neck. Looks like this is the place. I climb down off the massive beast and jump to the ground, which is now covered with a good half-inch of white snow. My breath visibly puffs in the air before me. "Thank you," I say, turning around to face the dragon. "If the Butt King is here, then I will find him." Before I can even finish my sentence, however, the massive reptile erupts from the ground once more, swooping down along the cliff and then pulling up at the last second. The creature flaps its broad wings as it disappears into the night. Now I am all alone. I draw my sword, holding it out before me. Oh, hold on. I have an idea. I'm gonna try to do this without fucking up the camera. I don't know if I'll be able to. Shit. I got too much shit in here. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's all good. All good. Slightly fucked up the camera. Nothing I can't fix. It might be a little fucked up, but it's okay. Let's start this again, shall we? Now I am all alone. I kind of fucked that up, didn't I? It was going to be such a cool reveal. I draw my sword, holding it out before me as I make my way along the cliff. This area is covered in massive boulders and shattered rocky crags, a maze that I slowly wind my way through. I have no idea if the Butt King truly is nearby, but there's no question that the air here carries a powerful sense of foreboding and darkness. I'm just gonna do this. Yeah. I realize suddenly just how quiet the world is around me. Tiny flakes of snow fluttering down and settling across the ground with a breathtaking softness. Okay, you know what? This isn't going to work. That's a little better. There we go. Get some. Fully alert, I make my way deeper and deeper into the mess of broken crags until finally something catches my eye. From just beyond the next boulder, I can see the faint blue glow of something powerful and supernatural, my sense of growing dread spiking like never before, my heart slamming in my chest. I carefully round the corner and try my hardest to stifle the gasp that involuntarily escapes from my lungs. There before me is the Butt King, a muscular, blue-skinned T-Rex with icicles hanging from various places across his scaled body. The dinosaur is standing in the middle of a large, glowing, ornately carved circle with his eyes closed, focusing deeply on some sort of magical incantation as he prepares for war. Immediately, I raise my sword, but I freeze when the eyes of the prehistoric creature fly open. The beast stares at me for a moment, taking me in as a smile slowly creeps its way across his face. I know that I should be reacting in turn, doing anything that I can to apprehend this powerful frost sorcerer, but his magical authority is just too dominant to ignore. Bon Snope, the dinosaur says, the sound of my own name sending a sharp chill down my spine.
It is I
reply, trying my best to sound confident, but the words coming out in a slight, uneasy stammer. The big day is tomorrow, yet you've come here to slay me, booms the Butt King, his eyes narrowing. Are you not a man of honor?
Are you?
I shout in reply, finally finding the strength to step forward.
The ice bots have been sweeping across this land and killing anything in their path. They're ruthless, bloodthirsty rumps who lay waste without thought or reason. Where's the honor in that?
I'm trying my best here, okay? The Butt King narrows his eyes, confused slightly. Wait, what?
You heard me!
I shout, pointing my sword straight towards him in a profound gesture of aggression. And then taking a sip of my delicious kiwi strawberry drink. I think this is kiwi strawberry. It's either kiwi strawberry or lemonade. I actually can't remember. It came out of a bottle. The Butt King just stares at me blankly, still trying to internally discover the answer of some deep, burning question. I can see that his prehistoric mind is racing, flooded with thought. You said the ice butts are hurting people? The Butt King questions, concerned.
Of course they are,
I tell him angrily.
Why do you think we're fighting back?
Suddenly, the Butt King's eyes go wide.
Fighting back?
Oh my God, he says to himself, then immediately turns around and marches toward a nearby rock. I can see now that this boulder is fashioned to work like some kind of altar, and a large blue book sits upon it. The Butt King picks up his book and starts to flip through the pages, a desperation in his eyes.
The spell,
stammers the handsome, frozen dinosaur, his eyes still glued to the parchment pages as he scans through them. I've been focusing on this spell for years and never once considered the fact that I could be doing it wrong.
What spell?
I demand to know. The Pounds for All spell, explains the Butt King. That's the whole point of the ice butts, to give everyone something to love and to pound. What else would it be about?
Destruction,
I offer. The Butt King ignores me, suddenly finding the page he was looking for. The dinosaur reaches out a tiny clawed hand to point at the paragraph before him. See, here it is. Pounds for All spell. The Butt King begins to read some instructions from his magical book and then suddenly stops with a gasp, pulling back in utter horror. Oh my God, the Butt King stammers. I see it now. Holy shit. I was doing the spell wrong. I suddenly realize what's going on, and my body is flooded with a strange sense of empathy for this poor wizard. This whole time, he thought he was providing the world with peace and love, but thanks to a slight technical error, he was causing death and destruction to sweep across the land. The Butt King collapses to his knees suddenly, gazing up into the dark sky and letting out a sorrowful cry of regret and pain.
What have I done?
That was my best Anakin Skywalker. Not knowing what else to do, I drop my sword. I'm not going to drop this. It's going to hit my foot. And approach the fallen dinosaur wizard, placing my hand on his shoulder as I kneel down next to him. It's okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
I tell the Butt King.
We all make mistakes. Granted, most mistakes don't cost the lives of half our kingdom. That's not the point. What we need to focus on now is how we can take care of things moving forward.
The Butt King's eyes go wide as he looks up at me, then climbs to his feet yet again. Grabbing the massive spellbook and frantically flipping through it, the frozen, prehistoric beast finally lands on what he's looking for and slams the book back down upon his altar, the page spread wide. Dispel magic, the Butt King announces, reading aloud.
Just make sure you do this one exactly right,
I caution.
We know what happened last time your ritual wasn't just as it should be.
The T-Rex nods and then takes in a deep breath before continuing. I can tell he's been deeply affected by the realization of his tragic mistake and wants to do everything in his power to correct it. Obviously, this is not something that can just be erased from history, but I can appreciate the fact that the Butt King is taking steps in the right direction. For the first time, I actually start to see this muscular dinosaur as more than just a villain to be conquered. He's a real live T-Rex with feelings and desires. A depth that is completely unexpected after years of living in fear of his ice butt armies. To be honest, there's something about the Butt King now that I actually find kind of hot. The spell must be performed with a partner, the Butt King continues to read aloud. The two casters must enter the circle of power, repeating the incantation as they stare deeply into one another's eyes. They will walk towards each other and embrace, and then seal the spell reversal with a session of passionate gay lovemaking. The second I hear this, my breath catches in my throat, not because I'm frightened, but because of deep and potent excitement. I can feel my cock hardening beneath my armor now, aching for release. The Butt King turns back to me. Can you help?
I'll do anything that's required of me to stop this madness,
I confess. The handsome dinosaur nods and then takes his position at the edge of the massive glowing circle. I've never been part of a ceremony like this, so I'm not exactly sure where to begin, but I managed to make it work by walking over to the opposite side of the rune, directly across from the Butt King. Repeat after me, the dinosaur begins. Butt in hand, butt for a man, butt with a plan, pound me, pound me. Butt in hand, butt for a man, butt with a plan, pound me, pound me. I quickly pick up on the rhythms of this magical prehistoric beast, joining his chant as we lock eyes across the circle, flakes of snow fluttering down between us. I slowly find myself being compelled to step forward, and I follow my body's instincts, making my way towards the Butt King until we meet at the dead center of the circle. We're still chanting, the words now ringing out loudly across the boulders around us and cascading down the cliffside. Louder and louder we grow until finally there is no holding back, and we find ourselves locked in a passionate kiss. Suddenly, the Butt King and me are all over one another, making out with a wild ferocity unlike anything I've ever felt. I frantically tear off the dinosaur's armor while he removes mine, stripping each other down until we are eventually standing naked before one another. The sword is raised. It's a phallus joke. You'd think this would leave me icy cold given the frozen, desolate setting, but I don't even notice, the passion within me burning far too hot to be quelled.
I want you so fucking bad,
I groan. Without hesitation, I drop to my knees before the Butt King and take his enormous dinosaur rod within my mouth, opening as wide as I possibly can to consume his outrageously massive dick. The creature's flesh is cold like a popsicle, providing me with a strange but pleasurable experience as I begin to slowly pump my head up and down the Butt King's length. Above me, the T-Rex leans his head back and lets out a long, satisfied groan, reeling from the sensation of my lips across his shaft. I reach up and cradle the dinosaur's balls, working him feverishly as the pumps of my head begin to speed up. Faster and faster I move until eventually I'm slamming my face down along his length with everything I've got. Desperate to please my new prehistoric lover, but also laser focused on executing this ritual to the best of my ability. Eventually, I push my head down as far as I possibly can, taking the dinosaur's enormous rod well past my gag reflex. In a perfectly performed deep throat. I somehow manage to relax enough that the Butt King's T-Rex rod slides all the way down past into the depths of my neck, plugging me up entirely as my face presses hard against the creature's chiseled abs. I remain in this position for as long as I possibly can, desperate for air but not wanting to give up on this moment of carnal submission before I absolutely have to. I can feel the Butt King's cold claws placed up against the back of my head, holding me in position as he savors the feeling of being fully consumed. Eventually, I'm forced to pull back for air, coming up in a sputtering, gasping mess of spit. A long strand of saliva hangs between my lips and the head of the dinosaur's shaft, and I collect it in my hand. I use this glistening wetness as lube, rubbing it across the Butt King's rod as I prepare him for what's next.
You did a great job fucking my face, I coo. But how about you spend some time freezing my ass off?
I should say arse. I fall back and turn around so that I'm on my hands and knees, my toned rear popping out towards the icy dinosaur. I wiggle my rear from side to side playfully, egging the Butt King on as he approaches me from behind, a blue fire behind his powerful eyes. The handsome T-Rex crouches down behind me, aligning his massive rod with the tightness of my puckered back door. I can feel him pushing up against me, teasing the rim of my asshole and then pulling back.
Do it,
I shout.
Slam your chilly dino dick up my butt so we can put an end to this senseless war.
The Butt King doesn't have to be told twice, swooping forward and impaling me with his enormous cock. I let out a startled yelp, not quite ready for this prehistoric beast's incredible size. While it had been a difficult task taking the Butt King's shaft in my mouth, I'd assumed this anal penetration would require a similar level of attention. I was wrong. This was so much more. I brace myself against the snow-covered ground as the handsome blue dinosaur slides deeper and deeper into me. My body still struggling to come to terms with the Butt King's outrageous girth. You see, I notice this happens sometimes. I get to the good parts of these books, and it's like I'm so enamored by what's going on that my tongue gets tied when I try to speak. My insides shake like a leaf on a tree. There's only one cure for this body of mine. That's to fuck this dinosaur that I love so fine. I'm sorry. It started strong. Ended pretty shitty.
Oh, fuck.
I groan, my eyes rolling back into my head.
You're so fucking big. I'm so fucking cold.
The Butt King finally reaches the absolute depths of my anus, holding here for a moment before pulling himself back. The sensation of this dinosaur exiting my butthole is just as jarring as his entrance, but as the Ice Wizard continues his moments, I slowly start to feel myself relax. Eventually though, gotta compose myself here. Thankfully, the Butt King is a skillful lover, allowing me time to adjust before he picks up speed. Eventually, though, this dinosaur escalates himself into a confident rhythm. The feelings of discomfort within me have melted away by now, and instead I've found the pain replaced by a warm, pleasant ache. Every slam up into my body causes the feelings of pleasure to grow and grow, until eventually they are surging out down my arms and legs, consuming my entire body. Soon enough, I'm trembling as the powerful sensations fill every ounce of my being. My muscles expand and contract as they try to realign themselves in the circus of movement, completely overwhelmed.
Oh my fucking god,
I cry out.
I'm so close to coming. I'm so fucking close.
The Butt King has slammed into me with everything he's got now, hammering up into my asshole like a runaway jackhammer. I reach back between my legs and grab a hold of my hanging cock, stroking myself off to the rhythm of the dinosaur's slams against my backside. I'm hurtling towards orgasm at a breathtaking speed now, unable to brace myself for impact until suddenly it hits me hard. I throw my head back and let out a blood-curdling scream, jizz ejecting from my shaft, as every nerve within my body is overloaded with pleasure. I shut my eyes tight, trying to somehow navigate this onslaught of feelings, but there's just too much happening all at once, so I finally give in to the tidal wave. I allow myself to be swept away. Behind me, I can hear the Butt King starting to moan as well, his expressions contorting into wild grimaces as he edges closer and closer to a powerful climax.
Come up my fucking ass!
A scream. Just as the muscular dinosaur unleashes his load, the Butt King slams forward suddenly and holds, his cock erupting with a massive payload of spunk. I can feel the warm, pearly jizz filling me up from within, more and more of the potent seed spilling out into my asshole until eventually there's not enough room left. At this point, I can feel the semen spurting out from my tightly plugged rim of my butt, running down the crack of my ass in a hot, pearly streak.
Oh, fuck.
I groan when the T-Rex finally pulls out of me, the two of us collapsing down into the snow. We take a moment to catch our breath, then sit up. I needed a moment to catch my breath after that, if we're being honest.
Did it work?
I question. The Butt King looks confident, but not entirely. Let's find out, he offers. We stand up and walk back out through the cracked boulders, noticing now that the snow has stopped falling from above. As the wind swirls around me, I notice that it's now lost its chilly grip, instead filled with pleasant warmth that feels nice against my skin. The Butt King and I finally reach the edge of the cliff where I gasp in shock. Looking out across the landscape, I can see the snow and ice melting away, legions of butts collapsing into dust as the sun begins to creep its way over the distant horizon. It's a new day, the blue dinosaur announces, reaching out and putting his tiny arm around me. A day of peace, not war. I lean my head against the hulking dinosaur, a smile on my face.
Looks like winter has finally come and gone.
Thank you for listening. This has been Game of Butts, the Pounds of Winter. Now, we still have this also by Chuck Tingle. I think it's probably going to be about the same list as I had in the other one, so I'm not going to go ahead and read out all these because there's like 3 pages of links to other Tinglers, and they're all segregated into Bigfoot story, Tinglers, Bigfoot Tinglers, Dinosaur Tinglers, Unicorn Tinglers. I probably talked about this in the last one or one of the last ones when I read out some of these, but I can't remember because it's been so many fucking months since I've done one. But I will read about the author, though, just in case. About Dr. Tingle. Dr. Chuck Tingle is a Hugo-nominated erotic author and Taekwondo Grandmaster, almost black belt, from Billings, Montana. After receiving his PhD at DeVry University in holistic massage, Chuck found himself fascinated by all things sensual, leading to his creation of The Tingler, a story so blissfully erotic that it cannot be experienced without eliciting a sharp tingle down the spine. Chuck's hobbies include backpacking, checkers, and sport. If you'd like to know more about Dr. Tingle, you may visit his website or write to him at chuckthetingler@gmail.com. You can also sign up for Chuck's mailing list. Yeah, that's pretty good. I liked that. I mean, if we're being honest, that was still a better conclusion to this story than Season 8 of Game of Thrones, so there's that. I liked that one, actually. I kind of liked... the voices were a little more fun for me, personally, even though I bet by the end of it, it's going to be really fucking annoying to hear me force that voice out every time, but every time it shows up for Jon Snow. But, you know, I'm surprised that there wasn't a My Queen reference in here, but I don't know when this was written, so it was probably before season 8. Actually, it was almost definitely before season 8. Anyway, Game of Butts, The Pounds of Winter. I give it a solid 7.5 Fender Stratocasters out of 10. I think next I'm going to read... Well, let's see. I'm looking at my list right now. I've got a few more. I've gone through about half of the Tinglers that I have available to me before I have to start buying them, which I don't really want to do, even though they're only a couple bucks and they're they're just not, you know. I'll probably buy them eventually. But I've got a few more. And hey, if I go another like 6 months between uploads again, I can really spread these out. So I think the next one will probably be Pokebutt Go, Pounded by 'em All, or Pounded by the Pound, like the British pound, the monetary unit. Yeah, that was fun. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say. I guess if you enjoyed this story by the good doctor, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and donate to my Patreon. I don't have a Patreon, but like, comment, and subscribe, and send it to your friends. Oh, you know what I can do? Because this is what really spurred me into action here. I'm just trying to give a little bit more than just the story. But the story's over now, so if that's all you're here for, I won't be mad if you fuck off. It was nice to have you, but we'll see you next time. But I can shout out the guy that got me back into this. Because really, there was a comment on one of the Tinglers that I did, and it was because of that comment that I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to get going on these Tinglers. I've been putting it off for too long. Any free time I have goes to other stuff. But today we changed that around. So, anywho, thank you to, you can thank our friend, just building up suspense, Mitty, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Mitty Nielsen, or Mitt Nielsen, commented on one of my the butt files, the case of Bigfoot's wiener. Commented on that one to, you know, just being nice. And so I was like, oh, geez, I still have some Chuck Tingle books I need to read. What am I doing? So, yeah, thank you, Mitty, and thank you to everyone who likes and comments, because there's not very many of you. Linda R., talking to you, yeah. Casual YouTuber 31. I'm literally just looking at my comments, and I'm still so small that, oh, Alex Graham. Alex Graham is a new subscriber. Thank you, Alex. We're on the road here to, geez, I don't even know. I have 22 subscribers. Yeah, it's pretty, so you can tell, I'm a pretty big deal in the YouTube community. You know, 22. We're really working our way up there. Pretty good for a part-time guy, I'd say. 22, you know, it's more than 21, not quite 23. If you haven't figured it out by now, this is why I'm not a YouTube personality person. I don't got the chops. I don't got what it takes. I don't got the time or the commitment or the effort. I do have a sword, though. Oh, hey, you know what? Fuck it. While I'm here, while I'm talking about Chuck Tingle, the Wings of Winter, this is the Wings of Winter. I was going to go into it, talk about the sword, but you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that. Suspense. Maybe I'll bust it out next time there's a sword and a Chuck Tingle adventure. Anyway, I've dragged this out long enough. This is like a 40-minute recording, and I don't really edit this at all, even though I probably should. So, thanks for watching. You can follow me on this YouTube. You're already here at the channel. You know how it works. You've been to YouTube before. And I do have an email, I guess. You can email me if you wanted to. If you have a particular Tingler that you'd like to hear, or if you want to give me feedback of why this sucks and how I can improve it, and or why I should just stop and never do it again, you can email me at vnpcast@gmail.com. That's vnpcast@gmail.com. Okay.